Today's topic of our discussion is spirituality. What is spirituality? What we mean by it, by this particular term, how it is defined in different religious traditions and meditational practices, and how it is being received even in the field of science. Before coming to the concept of spirituality, we have to see that what is difference between the two terms, religion and spirituality. When we go into deeper study of the concept of religion, then we find that spirituality is the core concept or core of the heart of religion. In that sense, religion and spirituality must not be taken in a very different sense. They are one and same phenomena. Religion is meant for spiritual realization or self-realization. And in that sense, there is no need to say that spirituality is something different from religion. But in spite of that, at present we find that there are certain people who are not interested to follow any kind of religion, but they are very much interested to learn about spirituality. Why is it so? It is because they think that religion is a belief in someone else's experience, or religion is something ritual, and spirituality is having our own experience. If we try to analyze these concepts, then it looks pretty good and very true that in today's scenario, religion is mostly taken in the sense of some rituals of a particular tradition, while spirituality is something very broad, very wider, very inclusive, and very beneficial concept. So what spirituality is meant in different religious traditions and how it is important even in the field of science. Though it is said that science and spirituality are two different phenomena. Science is a discovery of the external world, and spirituality is a discovery of the inner world. But when we go into deeper study of or deeper experience of our own reality or inner reality, then also we find that our inner reality is not completely separate from the external reality. They have some connections with each other. They can be understood better in the light of each other rather than in isolated form. So spirituality and science are also have some points of meeting where spirituality can be a boon to science. Now, what is spirituality and what kind of definitions and beliefs we find in different traditions or in the eyes of different people? There are people who would say that for them, spirituality means religion, being religious and following the laws and tradition of religion, probably their own religion. So this is the view of the people who are following some kind of religion for their spiritual goal. For some, this word means belief in God and the power that created life and the universe. These are the theological people or theological traditions which see that there should be a way to unite with the supreme reality, that is God. Another answer you might get is that spirituality means anything to do with the soul and the spirit. It is a really very direct definition, very straight definition of spirituality, in which we try to realize our own inner self. Some people associate spirituality with the New Age movement, for example, with healing, psychic powers, astrology, the paranormal, and everything that is not physical. For a few, spirituality could mean meditation, yoga, the expansion of consciousness, and a spiritual awakening. Some people consider this term as something sublime and beyond comprehension. Thus, we find that spirituality is not same in the eyes of all the people. It means different things to different people. What is spirituality and how it is defined in different dictionaries of the world, which are very well known and widely read. So first of all, we see that the Cambridge Dictionary, and in this particular dictionary, we find that spirituality is defined as the quality that involves deep feelings and beliefs of a religious nature rather than the physical parts of life. Another dictionary, which is Collins Dictionary, and it says this: spiritual means relating to people's thoughts and beliefs rather than to their bodies and physical surroundings. So according to them, spirituality is something beyond the physical reality. The Oxford Dictionary says relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things is spirituality. So when we try to go beyond the physical things or materialistic things and try to realize our own spirit, our own inner self, then it is something which is called spirituality. The Wikipedia, which is very common website, and in this particular Wikipedia, we also find that there is no single widely agreed upon definition of spirituality. Surveys of the definition of the term as used in scholarly research show a broad range of definitions, ranging from unidimensional definitions such as an ultimate sacred meaning transcending the base material aspects of life, and or a sense of awe, wonderment, and reverence toward the universe. So we have seen that there are certain different ways of understanding the concept of spirituality in the field of research. Now we would see that spirituality is also defined as experience by the sages and the seers who have real experience, who have gone into deeper reality of spiritual truths. So what is spirituality in their view? As we know, Buddha, he was the founder of Buddhism, and Buddhism is well known for meditation and its spiritual ideas. So what Buddha has said, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. So according to him, Spirituality is the essential need of a human life. Without it, nobody can live a life which can be more satisfactory or can be said as accomplished. The essential lesson I have learned in life is to just be yourself, treasure the magnificent being that you are, and recognize first and foremost you are not here as a human being only, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. This is said by Van Dyer, and it also shows that we should think of some inner reality which is not direct to our physical senses and physical mind, and which is more perfect, more accomplished, and magnificent. There is a light in this world, a healing spirit more powerful than any darkness we may encounter. We sometimes lose sight of this force when there is suffering and too much pain. Then suddenly the spirit will emerge through the lives of ordinary people who hear a call and answer in extraordinary ways. Richard Attenborough, he has expressed his feeling in these words, and he shows that spiritual reality gives call through some people. The common people cannot hear or mostly overlook this call, but this call is always there within each and every human being, each and every living being. In order to experience everyday spirituality, we need to remember that we are spiritual beings spending some time in a human body. So Barbara D. Angelis also says that we should think of it, that we are not just human body. We are not just a physical entity, but we are something beyond. Spirituality is calming down the restlessness and non-stop chatter of your mind. It is to learn to stop overthinking, free yourself from non-stop thinking, and enjoy tranquility. So this is a very pure definition of those people who are defining spirituality in a very wider and a very broader and very inner sense. All these definitions and meanings share the idea that spirituality is something beyond the physical world. People consider it as something mysterious, exotic, or rigorous, depending on their point of view. Now we would see that spirituality, which we are going to discuss in this particular course, and especially we want to realize through meditational practices what it is. So spirituality is the process of awakening from ordinary consciousness, rising above the ego and awakening to a wider consciousness. It can mean expanding the mind beyond the limitations, thoughts, and limited viewpoints about life and the universe. Spirituality can also mean the process of making the mind free from fears, worries, and non-stop thinking and experiencing inner peace and bliss in one's everyday life. And this is what the people of today are looking for. Some traditions, especially in the Far East, like Jainism, Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta, and others, consider spirituality as the search to know your real self to discover the true nature of consciousness and gain spiritual awakening. So that is the most important definition or understanding of spirituality in Asian traditions or in Indian traditions. And that is the main focus of our all these learnings throughout the course. As you can see, spirituality is a broad concept with room for many perspectives and interpretations. Even today, in this materialistic world, spirituality still has its place. It is not something that is going to disappear. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger and higher than ourselves, and sometimes it involves a search for the meaning of life. So these are the different ways of understanding the concept of spirituality, which we are going to discuss, especially in this particular course. And we will practice different meditations to realize all these truths of spiritual reality. Now you would see that what is the thought of spirituality in Indian traditions. The original term for spirituality in Indian culture is adhyatma, that is being within the self. In all the Indian traditions, this term adhyatma is taken not only in the sense of some particular meditational practice or a spiritual practice, but it is taken in the sense of a particular view and particular way of life rather than mere an esoteric practice. So this is the very important thing which we have to understand. Why Indian traditions are so spiritual, non-violent, and you can say all encompassing or inclusive in their approach. It is therefore neither religion nor morality. It is neither mysticism nor idealism. It is neither spiritism nor occultism in Western sense. It is something transcendent and innate, especially pertaining to our own genuine self. India has three main traditions, which are most ancient traditions and the original traditions of India, and they are Jainism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. All these three traditions are very strong in their concepts of spirituality and deeply ingrained in them. So now we would try to take one tradition to understand their concept of spirituality. First of all, we are discussing about the spirituality which is found, which is explained and understood in Jain perspective. Spirituality has been in the center and in periphery of Jainism. It means Jainism is completely focused on spiritual reality. Self-realization is the highest goal of life in Jainism, and the knowledge of the self and the experience of the self is the beginning point of Jain practices. Spirituality, therefore, in Jainism means to know thyself and to live thyself. To know thyself means to know your genuine self through your own pure consciousness. And to live thyself means to know and observe only without any liking and disliking. Though it is very difficult, whenever we see anything, At the time of knowing, we just do not know, but we start thinking that whether it is good for me or bad for me, or whether I like it or whether I do not like it. So, liking and disliking are always involved whenever we perceive any object, whenever we try to know anything. It is very difficult to know thing only without any liking and disliking. And this liking and disliking creates so many problems, issues, conflicts, and also misguide our attitude and our behavior. So, how we can be more and more in knowing only and observing only without any kind of attachment and aversion. To live in profound harmony with nature is a spiritual implication in Jainism. In Jainism, you will find that when it is said that when you know yourself, you do not know yourself only, but you know your connection with the entire world. And you know that all other living beings are the same, are equal to myself. And that's why your attitude, your behavior, your relations with the external world or the other human beings or fellow beings is completely changed after this realization. Now we would see that what are the basic fundamental principles of spirituality in Jain perspective. There are 6 basic principles on which the whole concept of spirituality is based in Jain perspective. And what are those 6 principles? The first and foremost principle is that we have to believe, not only believe, but we have to experience that there is an independent, genuine self. Most of the times we understand that body and the self are not separate. They are one and the same. And that's why we take body in the sense of our inner self and devote the whole time for our physical needs, physical comforts, pleasures, enjoyments, and do not take care of our own inner self. We remain always ignorant about it. And that is the main cause of our suffering. That is the main cause of our problems or miseries. So, the first and foremost quest of a spiritual seeker is that we should know that our genuine self exists independent of body and the external world. The second concept of spirituality in Jainism is that the genuine self is eternal. It is not something transitory. It exists for a moment and does not exist in the next moment. This is not the concept of eternality. The genuine self is eternal. It continues always. Even after death, it survives and it never loses its own essential, divine, pure nature. The third concept of spirituality in Jainism is that it is a doer of right and wrong action. The genuine self is doer of its right and wrong actions, and therefore it is responsible for the resultant consequences of its right and wrong actions. We blame others for our miseries or our sorrows or difficulties. But Jainism says that others can be formal causes, or we can say auxiliary causes, but not the material cause of our problems. We ourselves are the problems, material cause of our problems, and that's why we have to be very much careful of our action before taking it. The next very important concept of spirituality in Jainism is that there is final liberation. There is final liberation from suffering. There is final liberation from the cycle of births and deaths. And there is final liberation from all kinds of physical or material relations or bondings. And in that state only we can realize, we can be in ourselves, in our genuine self, which is divine, pure, perfect, and having infinite bliss and everlasting peace. There is path to liberation. This is the last principle of spirituality, that yes, there is liberation, there is pure and perfect divine state which we can realize, and there is also path to realize that reality. And that path is shown in a different forms or different ways. In this particular course, we are focusing on one part, and that is meditation. How meditation can help us to realize the genuine self, its independent existence, and also can lead us to the supreme state of our inner being, which is pure, perfect, blissful, and peaceful. Now we would see that what is spirituality in Hindu perspective. To realize union with Brahman, the supreme God, is spirituality in Hindu tradition. According to this tradition, there is one unitary principle, and that is Brahman in the world, and everything is coming out of it. The whole world is the creation of Brahman. And this supreme Brahman is a supreme principle of existence, consciousness, and bliss. It means Brahman is something which is existing in everything of the universe. It is something conscious, and it is something blissful. It is Brahman who pervades in and animates the entire universe and provides its source and sustenance. And therefore, to unite with such divine power is spirituality in Hindu tradition. Oneness of the entire reality is the basic presupposition and guiding principle of a spiritualistic approach of Hindu tradition. Realization of the oneness is postulated as the summum bonum of all existence. In a nutshell, we can say that spirituality is the realization of Brahman, the infinite source of wisdom, bliss, and energy. And for that, you can see some audios which are available on internet with the title Ort's Super Soul Conversations, and it is written by Daniel Goleman. Now we are coming to the concept of spirituality in Buddhist perspective. Buddha is well known for his spiritual practices and especially meditation. And there are thousands of centers of meditation, Buddhist meditation worldwide, and thousands of people are practicing meditation going to these centers. So Buddhist spirituality is concerned with the aid of suffering through the enlightened understanding of reality. To live in the present moment without any conceptualization is the source of realization of truth, according to Buddhism. The holy life in Buddhism begins and ends in practice rather than intellectual exercise. So you will see that in Buddhism, it is said that until and unless we become free from all kinds of desires, menaces, and be focused on the present moment, we cannot realize the spiritual reality of our own and also the truth of the world. So for realizing the truth of our own existence and to know the truth of the world, it is necessary that we have to be more and more in the present moment. And for that, mindful meditation is well known in Buddhist tradition. And it is also well known meditation, which is known as Jain Buddhism or Jain meditation, in which we try to focus on enlightened nature of our own self. So that kind of meditation can help us to realize our own spiritual reality, to know the strength of our own genuine self, and to realize the true divine nature of our own self. So these are different ideas which we find in all these Indian traditions regarding the concept of spirituality. Now you would see that how the concept of spirituality is being received in the field of science today. The present world is looking for intellectual quotient to emotional intelligence, and from emotional intelligence to spiritual intelligence. Even science is looking for spirituality so that it can get secrets or open some of the mysteries of nature which are not easy to open by some scientific method. The scientists of today are focusing on spiritual practices and trying to understand the nature of consciousness, just to know the reality of the world or cosmic elements, because they have found that until and unless we understand consciousness, we cannot understand many of the secrets of the universe. And this is what is said by the Indian sages long before. They have proclaimed that one who sees within sees the world. To know the external world is possible when you know your own inner self, because it is the inner self which is the source of knowledge of anything or everything. And that consciousness must be awakened, must be evolved so that it can see the reality. of our own self and the external world. In the Upanishads of Hindu tradition, it is said in the language that yatha pinde tatha brahmanda. The inner, the individual self or existence is not separate from the external world. They are made of some same stuff. So if we could see ourselves, then there is no need to go to see each and every elements of the universe. We can know everything just by knowing ourselves. Though in spite of pursuing very different goals, yet what scientists and spiritualists talk regarding reality and human nature is quite coherent. The study of science and spirituality has changed worldview from mechanistic to holistic and ecological, as it is evident from the talk of Prof. and also in the talk of Deepak Chopra with Sadhguru, and hope you will enjoy their dialogue and their discussions regarding the concept of spirituality from scientific and also from spiritual religious point of view. With these words, I would like to say that this course will help you to go into experience of your own spiritual reality rather than to have many more informations or just theories about spirituality. So with this, if you have any questions, you can ask me through email. If something is not clear from any material, you can let me know. Okay, I can help you, all of you, and I hope you all will enjoy.